He was a ghost haunting the halls of his own home. When it seemed the last whisper of life was about to leave him, his older brother returned from a business trip with a cure in the form of a person. The bride wore an ill-fitting suit and had a thick, grating accent from somewhere in the rural Midwest. There was an unsophisticated air about them, a lack of polish that Julian found deeply offensive. He was repulsed. But then, a strange thing happened. Whether it was the sheer force of this person's presence or some other cosmic joke, his health began to improve. His parents, giddy with relief, urged them to share a bed. Julian, feeling a flicker of life for the first time in years, was happy to comply. He cornered his new spouse, pressing them against the mattress with a surprising surge of strength. But as he leaned in, a shy smile bloomed on their face before they gently flipped him over. A deep voice rumbled, "Honey, I'm older than you. Let me." Julian was the famously unlucky heir of the Vanderbilt-esque fortune. A boy born with a fragile constitution whose fate was sealed at 12 when he fell through the ice of the estate's frozen lake. By 18, he was a permanent fixture in his silk-lined bed, utterly dependent on others. His parents prayed to any god that would listen, promising anything in exchange for their son's life. That winter, his brother returned from a trip, bringing with him a charismatic spiritualist he'd met in New Orleans. The man took one look at the friend his brother had brought along and declared them to be Julian's lifeline. A marriage, he'd insisted, would see Julian's illness vanish. After the spiritualist left, his brother had begged, pleaded, and finally convinced his friend to go through with the charade. And so, the stranger was escorted into Julian's bedroom. The draft from the opening door sent a shiver through Julian's frail body. He lashed out, his voice a hoarse whisper, demanding to know which idiot was trying to freeze him to death. He snatched the bowl of medication from the nurse's hand and hurled it. It was a pathetic effort. The ceramic bowl landed softly on the thick Persian rug, rolling to a stop at the stranger's feet. The nurse spoke first, her voice hushed, introducing the newcomer as his new spouse. The person finally lifted their gaze, picked up the bowl, and offered Julian a small, crooked smile. Julian felt a wave of dizziness, the blood rushing to his head. His brother was clearly more worried about the family fortune than his life, to have brought such a creature into their home. The stranger's jaw tightened, their accent thick as they defended themselves, stating that they had the usual number of eyes and a nose, so they couldn't be that ugly. Their mother, they added, always said they were handsome. Julian could almost tolerate their plain, pale face in silence, but their voice made him want to cough up blood. He couldn't believe his family's legacy had been reduced to this marrying some coarse country bumpkin. Tears of pure frustration welled in his eyes. The stranger quietly set the bowl on the nightstand and left, returning a moment later with a basin of warm water. They reached under the heavy duvet and grasped Julian's foot. A hot flush of shame spread across Julian's face as he struggled weakly. He accused them of having no shame grabbing a man's foot like that. They didn't respond, their grip surprisingly strong as they submerged both his feet in the basin. After washing his feet, they washed his face, their methodical movements slowly draining the fight out of him. For several days, this became the routine. Every morning, the stranger would arrive with a basin of water to clean him. True to their rustic nature, they always washed his feet before his face. While scrubbing, they finally introduced themselves. Their name was Leo, and they asked him to stop calling them a hick. It was rude. Julian thought the name was as plain as they were. The moment Leo left the room, he had a nurse summon his parents, demanding they annul the ridiculous marriage. But his parents, who had always indulged his every whim, refused. His father explained that the young man had left his home to come here, and that it wasn't easy. His mother added that Leo was a hard worker who had brought order to the household, giving her a chance to rest. Julian protested that Leo had only been there a few days, but the exertion sent him into a violent coughing fit. By the time he recovered, his parents were gone. Leo was leaning against the doorframe, watching him with an unervingly perceptive gaze. Julian, who had never been a good liar, felt a pang of guilt and blurted out that it wasn't personal. He explained that for someone like Leo, big, unrefined, and loud, marrying into a family like his was a miraculous stroke of luck. Before he could finish, Leo strode into the room, their presence suddenly overwhelming. Julian instinctively clutched a pillow to his chest, but Leo merely slammed a bowl of chicken soup onto his bedside table and walked out. That night, Leo didn't try to share the bed. Instead, they laid a pair of thin blankets on the floor and settled down for the night. The wind rattled the old window frames, and Julian couldn't sleep. He turned over, his voice barely a whisper in the dark, and asked if they were cold on the floor. A muffled no was the only reply. Julian pressed, wondering how they could be warm when he was freezing in his own bed. After a moment of silence, he sighed and told them to just get in the bed. He mumbled that his parents were right. It was unseemly for his spouse to sleep on the floor. There was no answer. Later, in the dead of night, he heard the faint sound of muffled sobs coming from the floor. A cold sweat broke out on his skin, his guilt crawling like ants beneath it. His brother came to berate him the next day, accusing him of being a heartless, ungrateful bastard for trying to cast aside the person who was here to save him. Besides the fact that Leo was hardly a conventional spouse, his brother's logic was infuriatingly sound. He pointed to a faint bruise on his forehead, reminding Julian of the lengths he had gone to for his sake. The family's hopes rested on Julian, and he needed to stop being a brat and accept his fate. Frustrated, Julian knocked over his water glass. Leo rushed in, carrying a small pot of green herbs. He asked what had crashed. Julian snapped that he was thirsty. Without a word, Leo poured him a glass of water. After Julian had finished drinking, he finally asked about the pot. Leo explained that it was rosemary. They brought the pot closer, showing him the small, vibrant green shoots. They spoke of how, in a few weeks, they could bake it into fresh sourdough bread. The mention of fresh bread and a world outside this suffocating room made Julian's chest ache. He turned his head away, a familiar despair settling over him. Leo, after chattering on for a while, suddenly had an idea. They suggested carrying him outside to see the magnolia trees, which were in full bloom. Julian was sure this was just another way to mock him. A cripple, stiff as a board, who even the strongest groundskeepers struggled to lift. What could this lanky farmhand do? They'd probably drop him and laugh. But Leo didn't wait for an answer. They pulled back the duvet, wrapped Julian tightly in a heavy wool blanket, and with a swift, practiced motion, scooped him up and onto their back. Before Julian could even process what was happening, he was outside in the courtyard. The household staff gasped, expecting an outburst, but Julian was speechless. He hadn't been outside in 3 years. The sudden explosion of spring color was almost painful. A strange, tight feeling gripped his chest. Leo, sensing his awe, gently bounced him like a child. They admitted they should have thought of it sooner, promising to take him out every day. If he never got better, they said, they could be his legs. Julian blinked, and then, on impulse, bit down hard on Leo's shoulder. The farmhand had surprising strength. After that, Leo carried him through the estate gardens regularly. Julian's legs, long and used, would tremble at the slightest touch to the ground. He was convinced every pair of eyes was on him, mocking the great Julian Astor, who had to be carried by his spouse like an infant. He started to fight back, kicking and struggling. The more he fought, the more strength returned to his legs. Once, he kicked so hard that Leo stumbled, nearly dropping them both. Leo's face crumpled, and they told him through tears that he was being cruel. He was getting stronger, wasn't he? Then it was Julian's turn to cry, wailing about how everyone saw him as nothing but a pathetic invalid. After that outburst, they stuck to the private gardens. As spring warmed into summer, Julian's body, wrapped in blankets and pressed against Leo's constant warmth, began to feel less like a prison. His brother saw them a few times and commented on Leo's surprising strength, joking that people from the heartland were built differently. The reminder that his brother knew Leo first sparked a petty jealousy in Julian. He clutched his stomach and groaned. Leo rushed over, their long braid flying, asking what was wrong. Julian claimed he was starving. Leo scratched their head, confused, as he'd just eaten. Unfazed, Julian threatened to cry. Leo quickly offered to make him that sourdough bread. It was the first time Leo baked for him. The bread was dense and dry, a struggle to chew and swallow. But seeing the hopeful, expectant look on Leo's face, Julian choked it down with 3 bowls of bitter medicine. Leo happily offered him their own piece, insisting that sourdough makes a person strong. It's what made them so tall. Julian asked if their family was also tall. Leo tilted their head, thinking. They were the tallest, they said, though a younger cousin was catching up. The question opened a floodgate, and Leo began to speak of their home. A small town on a 5-point intersection in Ohio, and their uncle, also named Leo, who ran the town's best bakery. As Julian watched their mouth move, he found himself thinking that for a hick, their voice wasn't so bad. And their face, maybe they were the prettiest thing in their village. Whether it was the sourdough or something else, Julian grew stronger. Sometimes, just to tease Leo, he would kick them, leaving bruises on their shins. Leo, while dabbing at the marks with rubbing alcohol, announced they were building him a wheelchair. During the day, Leo would carry him to a cushioned chair in the garden and then work on the chair, the sounds of sawing and hammering filling the air. Sometimes they would pause, reaching out to gently brush his cheek, and Julian would grab their hand, holding on tight. His own body was perpetually cold, but Leo was a furnace. At night, Julian would press himself against them, sliding his icy feet between their warm legs. He murmured about how warm they were, a human furnace. Leo's breathing would grow heavy, and they'd clamp their legs together, telling him to stop fidgeting. Julian, feeling bolder, would whisper lewd promises about what they would do once he was fully recovered. One night, he asked if Leo wasn't disgusted by him anymore. He ran a hand down their back, quoting something he'd read. A husband shouldn't find his wife ugly. He commented on their surprisingly firm backside, teasingly asking if they'd bear him a whole brood of little Midwesterners. Leo didn't answer. Julian chalked it up to shyness. The wheelchair was finished just as the last of the magnolia blossoms fell. Leo gathered some of the fallen petals, strung them into a makeshift crown, and placed it on Julian's head, telling him he looked beautiful. Julian felt a sudden urge to kiss them. When the nurses teased him about being bewitched by his imported spouse, he found himself at a loss for words, his hand flying to his chest to still his racing heart. The staff, amused by the unfolding romance, had taken to leaving trashy novels for him, with titles like The Tycoon's Rustic Heart. He hoped one day to try out some of the moves on Leo. He wrapped his arms around their neck, his face flushing as he clumsily kissed and nipped at their mouth. They stiffened in surprise, one arm wrapping around his waist to keep him from falling from the wheelchair. A cough from the doorway made them spring apart. It was his brother scolding them for their public display. Leo's face was beet red. Julian shot his brother a glare, retorting that they were a married couple in their own garden. His brother was the one who had entered without announcing himself. His brother, flustered, threw a book into Julian's lap before storming off. It was a cheesy self-help guide called Intimacy Basics, 12 Steps to Passion. Reading it left Julian feeling hot and restless. That night, he cajoled Leo into taking him to the lake to see the moon lilies. Despite being bundled up, he caught a chill and his fever returned with a vengeance. In his delirium, he heard his mother crying, wondering how this could have happened when he was doing so well. He wondered the same thing. He was born to die, his life a testament to his family's wealth, which had kept him from the grave for so long. To have experienced something akin to marital bliss was a gift. But it was cruel to tether Leo to a dead man. His little hick didn't deserve to be a young widower in this lonely place. Someone forced bitter medicine between his lips. He opened his eyes to see Leo, their eyes red-rimmed. They pressed a pen into his hand, asking what he wanted. Their hand was so warm. He pulled his own away, using the last of his strength to scrawl 3 words on a piece of paper. Annul this marriage. Before he lost consciousness, he begged his parents not to make Leo mourn for him. He didn't die. Leo wouldn't let him. The moment he passed out, Leo had forced a small herbal pill into his mouth. By the time the doctor arrived, Leo had already started the treatment. For 2 weeks, they never left his side, massaging his limbs with their warm, dry hands. The day he finally regained full consciousness, he woke to the sound of Leo telling him a rambling story about a little sourdough loaf looking for a husband. The nurses later told him that if the doctor hadn't stopped them, Leo would have submerged himself in the icy lake to bring his fever down. The story sent a pang of longing through him, pity for their selflessness, and a selfish desire to feel their bare skin against his. That night, he claimed he was cold and needed them to hold him. As they lay together, his hands began to wander. He marveled at how hot their skin was. He was a furnace, his Leo so incredibly warm. They asked in a dead serious tone if he'd been possessed by a demon, to be acting so lewdly. Julian feigned outrage. He declared it was love that had given him a second life. He'd been to death's door. Did they really have the heart to accuse him of being possessed? Leo muttered that they didn't believe in such things and tried to give him his medicine. Julian complained it was too bitter. When they asked what he wanted, he simply said, "Something sweet," and pulled their face towards his. After that, medicine time always ended with them kissing until their lips were swollen and their faces flushed. Leo, clinging to the last vestiges of their country modesty, would offer token resistance before melting into his arms. The autumn wind stripped the last leaves from the magnolia tree. Leo served him sourdough bread with fig jam, a combination Julian found disgusting. As he was wondering what to drink to wash it down, his parents arrived. His mother took Leo inside while his father sat with him in the garden. He handed Julian a bowl of a dark, steaming liquid. He explained that although Julian could walk now, the root of his illness remained. The spiritualist's final instruction was that for the cure to be permanent, the union had to be consummated. A proper joining of energies would heal him completely. A blush crept up Julian's neck. He saw Leo emerge from the house, their face equally flushed. His mother had clearly given them a similar talk. Julian took the bowl and drank the potion in one go. He assured his parents they would have a grandchild soon. Mortified, they quickly made their exit. The potion worked fast. A deep heat spread through him. Leo was nervously counting the seeds in the fig jam, their rambling chatter making Julian's head spin. He just wanted to kiss them quiet. He took their hand, his thumb stroking their knuckles. "Leo," he began, "we've been married for over 3 months. Tonight, let's make it official." Leo was even more flustered, the blush spreading to the tips of their ears. They finally met his gaze and made him swear he wasn't disgusted by them. He shook his head vehemently. They weren't disgusted by his sickness, so how could he be disgusted by them? Their eyes welled with tears as they asked what would happen if he didn't like them. Julian was confused. He explained that his feelings for them weren't about their body. It was about something deeper. If he didn't care for someone, a team of wild horses couldn't drag him to their bed. But if he did, he'd accept them even if they were a ghost. He coaxed and soothed until he finally got them into bed. He drew the canopy curtains and began to undo the buttons of their shirt, marveling at their solid, muscular arms. As he moved to pull their clothes off, they blushed fiercely, then rolled over, pinning him gently to the mattress. "Honey," they whispered, their voice a low, masculine rumble. "I'm older. Let me." He'd been tricked. That explained the height, the strength, the broad shoulders. Not only was his spouse tall and strong, but they were well-equipped. And he, a sickly man who had barely known the world, had been married off to one without his knowledge. "Sweetheart, your soup is getting cold." Leo held a spoonful to his lips, their face glowing. "Get out," Julian croaked, turning his head away. He couldn't look at him. He'd assumed people from rural America were just built bigger. To think his long-held virginity had been taken by a man. The shame was unbearable. Leo sighed, a wounded look in their eyes. "You said you wouldn't be disgusted. You said you'd accept me even if I was a ghost." Hearing him say it, Julian felt like the villain. He turned back and saw actual tears forming in Leo's eyes. He panicked. He demanded to know why Leo was crying when he was the one who had been deceived. Leo's response was utterly sincere. "I was worried you were tired. I wanted to take care of you. If you want, you can be on top next time." Julian's face burned. He turned away again, refusing to speak. That night, when Leo slipped into bed, Julian remained rigid on his side, acutely aware of the hard, masculine body next to him. The next morning, he fled to his brother's study. His brother took one look at him, raised an eyebrow, and had a servant place a soft cushion on a chair before Julian sat down gingerly. Julian lowered his voice. "Leo, he's a man. Did you know?" His brother shrugged. Julian snatched the teacup from his hand. "You knew? He's a man, and you let your own brother marry him?" His brother gave him a weary look. "Your illness is a deficiency of spirit, of vitality. The healer said you needed a powerful, grounding energy. A woman's energy wouldn't have been strong enough." It was absurd, but it had worked. Julian traced the pattern on the teacup. "You still should have told me." His brother waved a dismissive hand. He didn't even want to do it. Took all my powers of persuasion. Besides, if you really hate it, go tell mom and dad. Get an annulment. Technically, he's not our daughter-in-law, he's our son-in-law. And he's from out of state. No one here knows him. I can find you some nice girls tomorrow, and we can send him on his way when the next business shipment goes out. Everyone's happy. "No," Julian said, the word escaping before he could stop it. His brother rolled his eyes. "Then just answer me this. Do you like him or not?" Julian couldn't answer. He liked the shy country bumpkin named Leo. But that person had suddenly transformed into a man who had... He didn't know how to process it. As he struggled with his thoughts, he heard a servant at the door announcing that Leo was there to see his brother. Julian panicked. He stayed away until late that evening, slowly making his way back to his rooms. He found the courtyard in a state of commotion. The door to his room swung open and there stood Leo, dressed in men's clothes, holding a packed bag. They both froze. Julian's heart hammered in his chest. He asked where Leo was going so late. Leo's lips were a thin line. He pulled a folded paper from his pocket. It's the annulment agreement. I know last night was a shock. I was wrong to trick you. Since you're better now, and you clearly don't have feelings for me, there's no reason for me to stay. He tried to press the paper into Julian's hand and walk past him. Julian's body moved before his mind did. He grabbed Leo's leg, clinging to it. Leo dragged him a few steps before stopping, turning back with tears streaming down his face. If you don't like me, why are you making me stay? Julian stammered, I don't dislike you. You have to give me time to accept this. Leo wiped his face, his eyes red. You're the one who wanted to consummate the marriage. You're the one who said you'd accept me even if I was a ghost. But you can't accept me as a man? You lied to me. Julian's head swam. He didn't understand what he was being accused of, or why this was suddenly his fault. Desperate, he clung to Leo's leg and yelled for the staff to help. It took 4 of them to overpower Leo and deposit him, tied up on the bed. Julian, now frantic, snapped at him. Can't we talk about this? Why do you have to make a scene and run away? I just need a minute to process that you're a man. You can't just spring this on me and then leave. Leo rolled over, burying his face in the pillows. I'm the one who lied. It's my fault. All that bread I baked for you, all the care I took, it was all for nothing. Julian paced the room, his mind racing. Leo's muffled voice came from the pillows again. You people in the city have so many rules. You're upset I can't give you children, aren't you? Where I come from, love is just love. It doesn't matter who it's with. Just tell me one thing. Do you like me? Like him? He supposed he did. But he'd fallen for the girl who made terrible bread. That night they lay in the same bed, a chasm between them. Julian had a bizarre dream where he was strong and healthy, carrying a beautiful, feminine Leo through a field of moon lilies. But then Leo transformed, growing a thick beard and trying to force Julian to be his mountain bride. As his family pushed him into an abyss, he grabbed a pair of shears from the bedside table and stabbed his tormentor. Ah! A sharp cry woke him. In the moonlight, Leo was trembling, clutching his groin. You hate me that much? Julian tried to explain, but Leo wouldn't listen. He'd make bread and give it to the staff, pointedly ignoring Julian. He even threw the leftovers to the dogs instead of offering them to him. At night, he slept in the study. The staff, trying to be helpful, left him a new book, Taming the Tsundere Tycoon, How to Win Back Your Man. It was ridiculous. He was the wronged party. Why should he have to chase after Leo? He refused. The next day, his parents cornered him. His father called him ungrateful, reminding him that Leo was his savior. His mother said Leo was a wonderful spouse who took excellent care of him and was wonderful company. They couldn't believe Julian would reject him over something so trivial. After a long moment, it dawned on him. They had known he was a man all along. His parents had the grace to look guilty before they threw him out of the room, giving him a 3-month ultimatum. Fix things with Leo or let him go home. He walked back to his rooms, his spirit crushed. Leo saw his pale, haggard face and his own expression softened for a moment before hardening again. He pushed a cloth-wrapped bundle into Julian's hands. It was full of sourdough. I'm leaving in a few days, he said quietly. You can have these. I know they're hard to eat. You can throw them away if you don't want them. Then he turned and disappeared into another room. A cold wind blew, and a few dry leaves skittered across the flagstones. It was autumn. Leo had been with him for an entire summer. His leg ached. He looked over and saw the wheelchair, forgotten in a corner of the veranda, already gathering dust. The bitterness in his heart melted away, replaced by a profound, aching sweetness that filled him completely. It was settled. Man or woman, it didn't matter. He loved Leo. He took the bread from the dog's bowl and put it on a display stand. Leo ignored it. He tended to the rosemary plant. Leo gave it away to a gardener. He washed and pressed Leo's clothes. Leo wore a different outfit. At night, clutching his cold, empty side of the bed, Julian wept. His brother, hearing they still hadn't reconciled, came to offer his expertise. He pulled Julian's collar askew, exposing one shoulder, then shoved him towards the bedroom. When he comes in, just cry your eyes out. A short while later, Leo entered. He saw Julian in the bed, turned to leave, but the sight of his rumpled shirt sliding off his shoulder made him pause. Julian seized his chance. He grabbed the corner of Leo's sleeve and began to cry, great, heaving sobs that shook his whole body. "You don't like me anymore, do you?" he choked out between hiccups. "But I like you. Please don't go. I don't want little Midwesterners. I just want you." Leo's face flushed. He came over and wrapped the blanket tightly around Julian. "You lied to me last time." Julian shook his head and covered Leo's mouth with his own. "I'm not lying anymore. I like you." "Who do you like?" "You, Leo." Leo Avdityushka. Hours later, Julian lay exhausted in Leo's arms, barely able to keep his eyes open. He could have sworn he heard Leo chuckle softly in the dark. "Do you love me?" Leo whispered. "Forever."